I've spent these last couple days only talking about the Boston Celtics, which is understandable considering they won the NBA championship, but I feel like myself and many other people need to give the Dallas Mavericks the credit that they deserve because nobody had them going this far in the finals. I mean, there were times throughout the season where it was questionable if they were even going to make the playoffs. That's how crazy it was. I mean, a majority of this year, they spent their time either in the play-in tournament or in that lower tier playoff seeding. Now, some of that is because of the injuries that they have gone through this year. It could also be the fact that they added a lot of this talent throughout the season, and it kind of takes some time for those guys to gel and mesh with everybody else. But we've been so caught up with all of this NBA finals and conference finals talk when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks, and I think a lot of people forget what their entire narrative was throughout a majority of this season. I mean, just take a look at the first year that Kyrie Irving arrives to Dallas. Everything seems to be good. They're an entertaining duo, but they don't even make the play-in tournament. Maybe they did make the play-in tournament, but they just lost. I just remember that at the end of the game, they specifically took out Luka and Kyrie and basically threw the entire thing. They did not want to make the playoffs. But by far the craziest part was that they just brought on Kyrie Irving and they weren't sure if he was going to stay with the team after that year. That was one of the biggest narratives because even though the Mavericks didn't really trade too much to get Kyrie Irving, I don't have the trade details in front of me, but I'm sure that the most valuable stuff in that trade was picks. If I'm wrong, then I should have a cut here to talk about that. And even after that monstrosity of an NBA season, they still managed to re-sign Kyrie Irving. And I kind of already went over this season and how that was for them, but Luka Doncic himself was having an MVP year despite where they were in the standings. To me, this was easily Luka Doncic's MVP award. It actually disgusted me that he was able to bring his team so far into the playoff standing near the end of the game and he still didn't win the trophy. It was very upsetting to see, but I say that because I was watching this Dallas Mavericks team. I was seeing how Luka was able to push his team up further into the playoff contention, standings. But even though myself and many other people were watching this team, nobody actually knew what they were going to do in the playoffs. And that goes for the NBA teams as well. The Timberwolves didn't know, the Clippers didn't know, the Thunder didn't know. Nobody knew how far they were going to go. And this is kind of where things start to change for the Dallas Mavericks, because even though it's amazing that they made it this far, right, to even win one game in the NBA Finals is impressive, especially against this good of a Boston Celtics team, they now have the biggest target on their back. I'm going to compare the Dallas Mavericks to my Sacramento Kings really quick because it was 2 seasons ago when the Kings broke their 16-year playoff drought. By being the 3rd seed in the West, they had a historic offense at the time. I mean, the team really shocked everyone. Nobody knew how good they were going to be that year. And guess what? They pushed the reigning champs to Game 7. It's unfortunate that they weren't able to win that one, but still, with that being one of the most entertaining series in the entire playoffs overall, a lot of people got to see the Sacramento Kings and realized to themselves that they are actually a threat. And that's not exactly why the Kings didn't make the playoffs this year. It's because of the damn New Orleans Pelicans. But I guarantee you, a lot of these teams in the regular season, when they were matched up against the Sacramento Kings, played with a lot more firepower and tenacity than they would 2 years ago when they were still a playoff drought team. So I feel like it's going to kind of be the same exact thing for the Dallas Mavericks, unless they are able to make some moves this offseason or even in the NBA draft. When it comes to the draft, I don't really know who they're targeting or what players fit best for their team. I don't really know the draft that well right now. But one thing I do know is that apparently Nico Harrison, the GM, I'm pretty sure, for the Dallas Mavericks, is like an uncle figure to Bronny James or some shit like that. I don't know. I saw a post talking about it. So if the Lakers somehow don't pick Bronny James, which I don't think in a million years we will ever see them pass up Bronny, he might go to the Dallas Mavericks, which could be huge because even though Rich Paul says that LeBron has kind of given up on the idea of playing with Bronny James, I call bullshit. We could seriously see LeBron James team up with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic next year. Like, that's seriously a possibility. That's something that could happen. But even if LeBron doesn't go to the Mavericks, I do still think that the Mavericks are making a somewhat good decision by drafting Bronny if they do. But defensive guards aside, I think the biggest thing that this Mavericks team needs, or at least needed in the finals, was a damn three-point shooter. I know that PJ Washington has been great for this team from 3, and Kyrie and Luka can most of the times get their shots going from range, but I still feel like having at least one like momentum shooter or catch and shoot player would be huge for this team. I don't think they're able to go for Buddy Hield, nor would I want that for them or any team in the NBA, but just a player who can efficiently shoot threes. But at the end of the day, you can only do so many changes to your roster. It only really matters what happens to your role players and to your actual star players overall. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that they're going to have to get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. if they wanted to keep Derrick Jones Jr., which I 100% think they should do. And a lot of their roster has their contracts going in for these next couple years, so they don't have to worry about their entire roster being free agents right now. So even though a lot of people are hating on this Dallas Mavericks team and hating on Luka Doncic and Kyrie, I actually think they're in a lot better of a situation than many people think. So do I think the Dallas Mavericks can make this same run next year and make it to the finals and maybe even win the championship? Maybe. I don't know how I feel about them having this big of a target on their backs, especially out in the very competitive Western Conference, but I do see them back in the finals within the next couple years for sure. As for the Boston Celtics, there's talks about them possibly repeating next year, and if you want to hear me talk more about it, be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below your opinions on this Dallas Mavericks team. Do you think they can make the finals next year or maybe even win the championship within these next couple years? Let me know everything. I read and respond to everyone. And yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed. I will see you all in the next one. Later.